Dimensions are an important part of the documentation. You can place dimensions to any projected model view, floor plan, section, elevation, etc., and into 3D documents as well. Now, we'll add dimension chains to the design. ArchiCAD features associative dimensions so that the created dimension points and chains will remember their original reference points. If you change the position or the geometry of the dimensioned element, the dimension points and chains will update automatically and immediately, saving you a lot of coordination time. It's possible to create dimensions manually or by using the automatic dimension feature. Later on, you can add and remove dimension points to the chain. You may continue working on the current project, or open the Chapter 4 PLN ArchiCAD Solo project file to complete this chapter of the training series. Open the zero ground floor plan from the navigator. Activate the Dimension tool in the toolbox. Open the Dimension Settings dialog to see the available dimension parameters grouped on tab pages. These settings drive the behavior and appearance of the placed dimension chains. Set the parameters as follows. Type and front panel. Dimension type, linear method. Witness line, sized height. Text size, 2.0 millimeters. Marker and witness line options panel. Marker size, 1.0 millimeters. Dimension details panel. Dimension only the core of walls and slabs. On. Layer. Dimensioning structure. Click OK. Activate the Wall tool in the toolbox and press Ctrl or the Command-A keyboard shortcut to select all walls. Select the document, Document Extras, Automatic Dimensioning, Exterior Dimensioning command. Take a look at the available dimensioning settings and select the automated dimensioning options as presented on the screen. Click on an element edge to define a direction for the dimension lines. This can be any horizontal or vertical edge, such as the side of a wall. Once you click, the cursor changes to a hammer. Click to set the position of the first inner dimension line on the same side where you set the direction before. The dimension lines will be placed on all four sides automatically, based on the center of the selected geometry. Repeat the same workflow on the gallery story. Go to 1.gallery level and turn on the trace and reference. By default, dimensions appear. If not, open the trace and reference palette from the roll-down list of the trace icon and click the arrow next to the reference slider. Check Dimensions and click the Apply Settings to All References button. Right-click the zero-point ground floor in the navigator and show it as Trace Reference. We will use the existing dimensions to place the new ones so the documentation will be more consistent. Select all walls. Activate the Dimension tool and run the automatic dimension. Use the same reference points to place the dimension lines you used on the ground floor. Turn off Trace and Reference. After placed, you may change dimensions, example, add or remove dimension points, change dimension text. Now we will modify the whole dimension chain, while the chain remains associative to the dimensioned points. Some dimension lines overlap with the section marker, so we have to reposition them. Select the overlapping dimension lines. Activate the drag command on the pet palette. Move the cursor downwards and type D0.5 into the tracker. Hit Enter. If necessary, modify the position of the dimension text and/or the section marker too by clicking on it and dragging or moving its end node. Take a look at the dimension chains. You can see that there are some identical dimensions on the same side. Select the last row by clicking on the dimension line and then hit Delete. Open the zero.ground floor plan and delete the duplicated dimension line at the bottom. Modify the dimension lines and text according to the section marker as before. Now add a new straight dimension line to the interior. Activate the Dimension tool in the toolbox and dimension the wooden columns of the veranda. Please note, before you click to place the dimension point, ArchiCAD highlights the element to which it will be associative. In cases of overlapping elements, it may not be the one that we need. In this case, hit Tab until the needed element is highlighted. This ensures that if the model changes, the dimensions follow the right element. When you are finished with the points, double-click on an empty area. The cursor turns to a hammer. Drag the cursor. A preview shows where the new dimension line will be created. Click to place the dimension line. If you misclicked on a point accidentally, but you do not want to include that point in the dimension chain, simply click on the point again so the marker disappears. Now, add a new curved dimension line to the project. Activate the Dimension tool in the toolbox and change the geometry method to arc length in the info box. Click on the corners of the curved wall. The wall is highlighted and small nodes appear at the endpoints. Click the window corners to add points to the chain. Double-click to finish and drag to place the dimension line to a position above the wall. Click to place the dimension. Now we'll add some new points to an existing dimension chain, the veranda columns. Select the third dimension line. Click on the line to display the pet palette and select the Insert Merge Dimension Point command. Click a corner point of the column. A new segment is added to the dimension line. Now add the other corner to the dimensions as well. Now repeat the same process with the lower corner on the fourth dimension line. If the dimensioned element is deleted, the points automatically disappear from the dimension chain, but sometimes you may also want to delete individual points from the chain. Now we will get the full size of the building by deleting a point from the fourth chain. Select the intermediate witness line above the newly added dimension line segment by clicking on it and press Delete.